Pitching yourself might be one of the most cringiest things, and I have been there. I've wanted to pitch myself so many times and didn't because I had thoughts like, am I enough? Am I saying the right thing? Is it the right time? And trust me, because of those thoughts, I didn't. And then there were times I had the same thoughts and pitched myself anyway and got clients. Let's talk about that in this video as we talk about how to build your visibility and get your brand noticed. I have gained many opportunities, not because persons came running looking for me. It started out with me simply introducing myself, pitching myself with confidence. Even though I had those thoughts in my mind, I had to quiet them. I had to turn off the noise and go towards what I wanted, which meant I had to show up with clarity, be clear about who I am, who I'm serving, and what I had to offer. So I want to give you a story from way back when I just started out in the blogging. This is years ago, guys, when blogging was a thing. And so they had this blog awards. I just started my blog probably 6 months ago. I was really in that rhythm of creating and just doing really great work. I enjoyed. And I saw the blog awards came out. There was a nomination form, and they're like, hey, nominate someone. And I thought about nominating myself, and I did. I also told them why I should be the winner. And within 6 months of starting that new blog, me nominating myself, I actually won Best New Blog Award. And that's from 2012. So that's years ago. At that time, I really didn't see it as me pitching myself. I just thought that, hey, I wanted them to know about my blog and what I was doing and wanted just to be considered. And I pitched myself and won. There are other times as well when I saw opportunities like for blogs or for articles, and I would simply just pitch myself and say, hey, I'd love to be considered for this article. Here's my story. Here's my journey. There's another time when it's an award that's like, hey, this is the work I'm doing. I'd love to be considered. And many times I've been considered, won the awards, got the opportunities. And now that I'm talking, I'm thinking about pitching as similar to how you're applying for a job opportunity. So oftentimes we want a particular job, we want to work at that company, and that means you have to apply for the job. Or are you going to get the job if you don't apply? It's the same way with pitching yourself to get clients and even creating space to build visibility for your brand. You have to pitch yourself, you have to put yourself out there, which means that you have to get uncomfortable oftentimes. So one of the things that will help you to get started when you're talking about pitching is being very clear about what you do and who you serve. And once you start from that place of clarity, it makes pitching so much easier. Most recently, I joined a masterclass. So someone I follow on social media, love the work she's doing, joined her masterclass. There were, I think, I don't want to say thousands, but there were hundreds of persons in that masterclass. And normally when you go on a masterclass, people are like, where are you from? What do you do? Da da da, like follow on social media. And I jumped on and just like, hey, I am Carey. I'm based in Jamaica. I'm a Canva Design Community Ambassador. I help women entrepreneurs to build their brands using design and digital strategy. If you want to learn more about what I do, let's connect on Instagram. And I got a lot of followers just from me sharing that clearly. Not me being loud, not me being or sharing or over explaining, just simply telling persons who I am, what I do, and how I can help them. And one thing that came from that was a paid opportunity. A client reached out, or someone who followed me from that masterclass reached out. She's like, hey, I have something I'm working on and I'd love to work with you. And guys, that is just a simple way to get started in terms of pitching. Now, there are other ways you can pitch, which sometimes comes with, having 30-second elevator pitch. And that sometimes can feel a little bit more overwhelming. Or when you're in a networking space, you're introducing yourself, you feel like you have to tell your life story, which you really don't have to. You really just have to know who you are, be confident in that, and sharing that with the person you're connecting with. So I create Canva tutorials.
Really?
Yeah, but I also
so cool.
share like my knowledge.
Yeah.
In terms, I share my knowledge
or what?
On YouTube mostly.
Yeah. Well, I want to follow you now.
Yes, Carey Digital.
Are you on Instagram too?
I'm on Instagram too.
Okay, so Carey as in K.
No, C.
Okay, C.
A-R-E-Y.
E
Y.
Y. Carey.
D-I-G.
D-I-G. Oh, there you go.
No, not
This
that
one?
one.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I just follow you.
So I share Canva tutorials, but I also share my journey as well.
Of course.
I think
yeah.
it's important, especially as a small business owner.
Yeah.
The truth is, for years, I've shrunk myself. I would want to do things, want to be in spaces, gain an opportunity, and didn't. And it was when someone pointed out to me, like, hey, Kira, you are literally shrinking yourself. I realized I had to step my game up. I realized I had to move and grow out of that shell of wanting things, of desiring things, and not going after it boldly. And so that has really shifted my mindset. I still believe I have a lot of work to do in terms of pitching myself. But one of the things I've gotten a lot more comfortable with is simply telling people what I do and how I can help them. And one of the things I learned recently from Maron Golden, if you don't know who he is, Google who he is, go on YouTube, check his work out and what he talks about. And one of the things he mentioned is like being a resource for others. And for years I've been a resource for others, but I've just been like doing it quietly behind the scenes, like helping out people here and there. And he really shared an awesome approach to, being a resource for others. And I won't even tell you what it is. I want you to go and watch his video, and then I want you to just, learn a little bit from him, because I think he explained it so perfectly. I'll drop the link in the description so you can check that out. But yeah, really and truly, pitching is not just about being loud or, over explaining. It's simply just having clarity about who you are and showing up in a way which means you're serving. Key part of pitching is doing it clearly, calmly, without apology. So similar to me, I will say I help women entrepreneurs to build authentic brands through design and digital strategy. So that is when I'm talking about who I'm serving as women entrepreneurs. I serve multiple audiences. So in a different setting, because I have a creative design camp, and in a different setting, I will say I work with youths and children, helping to build their confidence, helping them to transform their brilliant ideas into solutions through creative design, which is graphics, websites, and videos, to boost their confidence and transform their lives. So, in different settings, it's going to be totally different. So you have to know your setting, you have to know your positioning. Those are key things when you're pitching yourself. Here's what I've realized: a lot of us don't struggle with the wanting to be visible. A lot of us don't struggle with putting ourselves out there or having that skill. We are just simply terrified of being judged or rejected or even being criticized. And that's the truth. That is something that I have struggled with over the years. That has been something that I had to constantly work through, and it's just still working through. Like, hey, you cannot allow that mindset of fear, of limitation to hold you back. At some point, you have to realize that those things are wholly limiting you, and you have to step outside of your shell, challenge those fears, you just really just challenge those fears. And I did an entire series on showing up boldly, and that was just a series I really enjoyed doing. And trust me, it has gotten quite a few DMs and messages of persons saying, yeah, man, this has really helped me and shifted my mindset. I want to reiterate, confidence isn't about being loud. It isn't even about being extroverted. I am an introvert. I describe myself as an introvert. But pitching has nothing to do with your personality or anything. It simply means you are sharing what you are certain about, and that is what you offer, your value, and knowing that you are enough. That's a big thing, right? A lot of this has a lot of psychological thing to it. It's not just about, oh, I want this job and oh, I want this opportunity. It's actually you believing that you are worthy of gaining that opportunity. And trust me when I tell you, that is something I have to constantly remind myself of, that hey, you are worthy of this opportunity, you are valued this much, you are enough, all the things. So even though you see me here talking on camera, doing the thing, being more confident, seeming like I have all the things figured out, I really don't. I have to constantly just talk to myself, motivate myself, remind myself of who I am, all the things in order just to show up and do the work required and get the opportunities that I truly want. So here's my practical system, the thing I figured out that made this easy. Step one, you need to know what you actually can do in one sentence. So step one, know what you actually do in one sentence. What do you do? Even if you identify yourself as a multifaceted person or a multi-hyphenate, you just need to know what you do in one setting. You might serve multiple audiences, so in different settings you will just talk about that one audience you serve or that one offer you have. You don't need to reel out the entire life story, which means because you know what you're doing, you don't need a perfect elevator pitch, you don't need a polished 30-second spiel. One sentence about what you do, saying it calmly, clearly, and with certainty. And for me, I say I help women entrepreneurs build authentic brands, and that's simple, clear, to the point. Step two, say it like you're telling a friend. I think this makes it so much easier. Say like you're saying it to a friend, like telling a friend, like, hey friend, this is what I do. You're not performing, you're not trying to impress, you're just telling it to a friend about what you do. Make it conversational, make it genuine, make it calm. And step three, stop after you say it. So you don't need to over explain, you don't need to add reasons for justifications, don't soften it, just say what you do and let it be. Right? Most people over explain because we're afraid that that one sentence isn't enough. And I've been in those cases where I've been talking and I feel like, boy, this one sentence isn't enough. I have to tell you more. No, like the one sentence can be enough as long as you're explaining yourself clearly and you have clarity. And then step four, be ready for the follow up. So once you tell people what you do and what you're about, people are going to ask you questions. Someone who is genuinely interested is going to ask you questions. So be prepared for that. And when they ask you the question, just answer them clearly. You don't have to rehearse this, just make it natural. Same way, make it very conversational. These are practical things that I've done that has also helped me to not only get paid opportunities, but to build my visibility. Even I remember one of the first times when I heard about Canva wanting, at the time they called it Canva champions. When they wanted Canva champions, they wanted to know the persons who were in the space using Canva and stuff. Someone sent me the form and said, hey Carey, this is the form that I found online. Canva want to identify persons who are using the tool in a unique way, in a way that promotes their brand confidently. I think you should really explore this opportunity. And I applied for it. That was how Canva, in the initial stages started knowing about me, right? Outside of just doing that, I also went to, Facebook groups and I was introducing myself and I was being a resource. As outside of that, I've been in Instagram comments, I've been in, communities, networks, just talking about myself as much as at the time I would have described myself as the most confident person or the loudest person in the room. I would just share, talk, tell people what I know and what I am good at. This is the Visibility Roadmap series on how to get your brand noticed. Every single thing that I'm telling you in this series are things that I've done. Every single thing in this series might seem like it is so simple, but it is also the same things that we tend to overlook, which can shift our entire life in a more meaningful way, in a way to get us clients, in a way to get us opportunities. These are some things you can start doing this week, today, right now.